Hello everyone, this is the Defender Part 3 video. We're going to change a little bit of the ship movement, how it appears on screen for collision detection. We're also going to create spawn points for the landers and for the scientists. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much this video. If you wouldn't mind though, if you could drop a like on this video once you've watched it, leave a comment below, or in fact hit that subscribe and the notification bell. It gets the word out there about the channel and moves me up in the rankings and all that, and it really helps the channel anyway. And I appreciate that, you doing that for me. So let's get on with the show and let's start coding after the fade. Okay, so here's the plan for this one. Um, so we've got the screen here. So this is every individual screen. So remember, we've got 4 screens the way we've set things up. And the idea is that we're going to have some kind of landscape on the background. So it's kind of look something like this. And each one of these is going to have like a spawn point. And then each spawn point is going to have a scientist that you can rescue. Now they're all going to be set for each of the screens. And then we're going to also have a spawn of the aliens, which are these guys. I can't draw, by the way, so this is why. There you go, that's kind of fluffy cloud thing. Oops. And then this one here. Kind of aliens, they're going to get the googly eyes in there as well. Like that. And then that is going to be our alien spawn point. So we need to have a controller for each screen. So we're going to have a controller. And then we're going to have spawn points for scientist. Oops. And that's going to be these guys here. And then a spawn for aliens. For aliens. Or I think they're called mutants anyway, but you get the idea. And the idea will be that these mutants here, they will seek out the closest one that's in this area, and then they will like make a beeline for it to pick them up and then drag them to the top of the screen where they become mutants. Actually, that's what it is. It's aliens and then mutants. So our first task is to create this kind of engineering behind the scenes, which gives us our spawn points. And I've also had a little bit of a rethink about the way that the ship moves. I don't think we need that extra camera. I think what we need to do is we need to move the ship relative to the current camera. So we might have to tie that in somehow with the way that the camera moves. So when the camera updates, we then update the player position or something. We need to figure something out anyway, because I think we're going to get into problems later on when we have the ship on one camera and then we have to try and find the collision in the world. And there's a couple of ways that we could do it. We could do like screen space collision where we're like trying to do overlap, but there's a lot of like math involved in that. And we already have a physics system as part of Unity, so it makes sense to do that as part of the system. So hopefully this here makes sense anyway. And that's what we're going to do in this video. So let's get started. So for each one of these screens, it needs to know the bounds of the screen. So I'm going to create a game object that's going to encapsulate all those screens. So if I go to the scene here, so let's say we have scene 1 here. So let's add another game object, so create empty, and we'll call this screen spawner. Okay, and then screen spawner is going to have a collider 2D, and that looks about right. Where's the screens? Screens are at 0, 0, 0. Okay, so our screen spawner is also going to be at 0. So let's put it in the same level. And then the left side is going to be about here-ish, so minus 1.5. That's good. And then it is going to be 0 on the height, and that lines it up there. And then the actual size of it, we want to bring that in so that it's roughly the same size as this one, which is bang on, which is 0.5. So let's make that 0.5. There we go. Okay, so although you can't see it, if I turn off screens and I select screen spawner, you can see that that's now going to be our location. So that's going to be where all the spawn points are. Okay, so everything's going to get contained inside there. So for each one of these spawn points, we also want to have copies of each of the little dudes and also each of the mutants that are going to get spawned in there, because we're only going to have a certain amount per screen and they're not going to spill over. And I think this is how it's done for the aliens in the actual Defender. I'm pretty sure it is anyway. So we need to bring in those values in there. So I have over here, I have the lander and I have the dude. So I'm going to drag them into there. So this is part of the resources folder. The lander and the dude, they are single and it's 1024 for each one of these. And where are we? This is going to be, going to apply that. Oh yeah, we need to have point and apply. Okay. So if we drag this into the scene, let's say we drag the dude into the scene here, and we put him at 0, 0, 0, he's roughly the same size of what he's going to be in the game. So I think that's a good size. Let me just check. So if we move, yep, that's about the right size, because when you pick him up, yeah, that's roughly the same size. Okay. Okay, so that is the first dude there, but the first dude here is actually going to be part of the screen spawner one. So I'm going to move him to 0, so that's going to bring him down to here, and I'm going to align them along the bottom so that we don't see them, but these are going to be our pool. So we're always going to have, we're only going to have a maximum of 5 per screen. So I'm going to drag, I'm going to create a copy of 5 of these guys, and I'm going to drag them down to just below here. So I'm going to do Control D, 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 and then I will replace all those names with scientist, and it'll do, and then we will drag them down to about here. It doesn't really matter where we drag them to, but it would be nice that we have them in there. Okay, and then I'm going to create another empty object in here, and I'm going to call this scientist spawns, and I'll just drag that up to there, and then this is going to have another bunch of empty spawn points in here. So I'm going to create another empty one, create empty, and this is going to be called scientist. Actually, let's just leave it just now. Just call it game object just now. But I want to give it an icon, and I think I can choose dude. That's okay, but it's a bit large. It's way too large. Maybe I just want it as dot. No, that's far too large as well. Is there a way you can resize these? Dude. I wonder if there's a way you can resize these. Oh, okay. Oh, that's far too big. Yeah, these are really, really big. Is it because of the size? Like if I create another dude, so let's say I drag in dude here, like that, and then call him icon dude. So I call him icon dude, and then I make him instead of 1024, I make him 4096. and then make them point, and then click on apply. And then if I go to here, and then choose a different icon, and then change that to icon dude, that made no difference. Yay! Well, that's good. Okay, maybe no icon then. Oh well. Let's have none icon. And then I'm just going to change. I'm just going to choose 5 points for this. So I'm going to do Control D, 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 D. So there's the 5 spawn points. Not all of these. So as you progress through the levels, it'll be like 1 scientist per screen, then 2 scientists, and then 3, 4, and 5 until you hit the max. So it gives you that level of. It gives you those levels. So that's our first spawn point is here. So we really want to move it. Let me grab that and move it to here. I'm going to fast forward this bit, I think. And on there. Okay, so I've done all those ones there, so you can see that we've got this spread here. And so that's good. So now I'm going to create another script here, and then this script is going to be the spawning scientist. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to create another script here, and this is going to be our spawner. Now, our spawner is just going to be something that spawns things. So I'm going to leave it as a generic spawner. I'm not going to call it an alien spawner or a scientist spawner. It's just going to be a spawner. So I'm going to call it spawner. And I'll do that. And it has created that spawner here. And so I need to have public game object objects game object spawn points, and then we need some way to spawn X number of objects. So we want to do public void spawn count. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, I'm going to cheat basically. So I'm going to say list. Again, we can optimize this later. Game object pool equals new pool, and then we can put in our spawn points. So I'm creating this list here, and I'm going to pick from that pool. So I'm going to choose int. Let me do var index equals. Actually, it's going to be for var I equals 0. Sorry, I'm covered in wires here. I less than count I plus plus. Okay. And I'm going to say, what do I have here? I want to say, I want to grab get random spawn point set object to world space of spawn point, remove spawn point from list. So that's what I want to do. So get random spawn point. So I want to say var index equals range random dot range, and then I want to specify the min, which is going to be 0, and then the max is going to be pool dot length. Count even. Now the way that range works for integers is it takes 0 to count minus 1. So it's going to be 0 to 4 or 5 or whatever it is. So I'm then going to say var spawn equals pool index pool dot remove at index. So we're going to get rid of that spawn point. Now we want to get the real world coordinates of this. So we're going to say var pos equals spawn dot transform dot world position, and then we want to say objects, whatever the index is, dot transform dot position equals pos, and we could do that there. So, and we've got that removed from the list there, so we can bring that up to there and put that there, set that to there, so we can just take this one out, put that there, boom. Okay, and now we have our fairly simple spawner that takes in a count. We are going to temporarily hold the list of spawn points that we have in our list. We're going to count up to however many items get passed in. We're going to pick a random point on there, and then we're going to set those values there. So we need to now modify our game controller, which we don't actually have. So I'm going to create a game controller. Create C# script. So I'll call this game controller, and I'll start it up. Game controller, okay. So we need our spawners. So we see public game object spawner. What am I doing here? It's going to be spawner spawners, and then we're just going to spawn one item just to start with. So we're going to say for each var spawner in spawners spawner dot spawn one. So we're only going to spawn one item in all of our code there. Okay. And we're going to go to our scientist spawns, and I'm going to create a spawner here. So I'm going to create a spawner, and then our objects are going to be these guys up here. So I'm going to lock this down, and then I'm going to select this one to this one, and I'm going to drag that into our spawn points. And then I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to drag that into our objects. Now on the main camera, actually let me create another game object, game empty object here. I'm going to call this one game controller. That didn't take. Why did that rename that one? Oh yeah, because I'm idiot. Okay. That needs to be called this is going to be scientist spawner. Okay. And then this one here is going to be our game controller. And I'm going to drag that right up to the top there so it's easy to find. It's also going to be at 0, 0, 0. It doesn't have to be at 0, 0, 0, but I kind of like the symmetry of it. And then we need to have game controller here. And then we've got all our spawners. So I'm going to drag our scientist spawner into here. So now we have a scientist spawner. So when we start the game, we should have, if I've tied everything down, we should have one sole person down there. So that's good. And let's see if that runs random. And then he is over there. And then let's see if we get another position out of this. Oh, he's back to there. Let's see. And there he is up there. Okay, so there's going to be mountains here, so it's not going to look so silly, the fact that he's just floating in midair. But that's where he is just now. Okay, so that's good. So now we need to do the same thing for our alien spawner. So I am going to cheat. I'm going to do Control D on this scientist spawner, drag it up to there, and I'm going to call this lander spawner. And our lander spawner is going to be pretty much the same, but the difference is it's going to be slightly higher up in the screen. And we also need a copy of our lander as well. So I'm going to drag that into our screen space here, and I'm going to call this, well, let's just leave it as lander, and I'm going to do that at 0, 0, 0, so that's it there. And then I'm going to drag them down to about here. I'm going to make copies like that, and I'm going to call that lander. And then our lander spawner, I'm going to take that down there. So I'm going to just choose that to just chain that to 0. I'm going to lock it again. I'm going to select all these landers, drag and drop it into objects, and then that's done there. And now we need to add that to our game object as well. So we do our lander spawner, so we can just drag that into our spawners. And so now we will end up with a lander. There's a lander there, and a guy. Now they're both going to share the same spawn points just now because I haven't changed the spawn points, but you get the idea. It's, you know, they're spawning. And similarly, if I go into the code here, and similarly, if I go into the code here and I change that to 3, we should now see 6 figures on the screen. So there we go. So we've got our, I guess they're kind of taken up by, where is scientist dude? Oh, he's behind him, that's why. Okay. And he's behind him as well. Yeah, he's just lurking behind him. Yeah, there he is there. They share the same leg. Huh. Okay, so we can cheat a little bit. We can move these around here. So we can just go to the lander spawner, and we can just move the whole thing up a little bit. Maybe not as much as that. Just go and grab every individual one of these and move it up to there. Move it along slightly. And then the second one, move that one along to there. And to there. And you get the idea. Moving these things along is, you do that to there. That's going to be up to there. And that's going to be there. Okay. So we have our first screen done, and we can just copy and duplicate that for there you go. So there's 3 guys and 3 landers. And we do the same thing again, we'll get a different result. Okay. Now, what we can do though is we can check to see if a camera has entered entered this spawn point, and this might be something for later on. But if it enters the spawn point, then you start spawning. So you don't initially see it, so it starts to populate the world after a certain, like maybe it's a random amount of time, like 2 seconds after you first enter it. That's a way we could do that. Maybe we should do that. Let's check that one out. Okay. Let me think about that for a second. Okay. So in this case here, what we want to do though is we want to get, we want to spawn these guys and not have the aliens spawn later on. So let's say this is every spawner. So let's go to spawner and say public bool spawn on enter equals false. Tooltip. Set this to true to spawn the items when the game starts. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to spawn this as soon as the game starts for only a certain amount of spawners, which is these guys here. So if I go to spawn on enter and then I choose, set this to true to spawn the items when the area is entered. And then let's have a public bool float spawn delay equals 1. Tooltip. Number of seconds after entry that items are spawned. Okay. Okay. So now if spawn and enter is false, we want to then spawn it. So if we go back to our inside here, we want to say if spawner spawn on enter. So if it's not that, we want to do this. Okay, so if it's not spawning on enter, I never trust that. What am I doing here? Oh, I really should go back to that old keyboard. I'm not really getting used to this one. And so if you're not spawning on enter, then we want to spawn those items. So now only the scientist should spawn. Why? Why do I have this on? Oh, oh, scientist. Okay, spawn on enter is that one, and then this one here should be empty. Okay, so spawn and enter should only be set for. Nope, that's the scientist spawners. Lander spawners. So our lander spawner should only spawn when we enter, and then only after a delay. Okay, so now we have these guys here. So they don't initially appear here. So I want it to appear like they're appearing out of nowhere, because I don't want them to. That middle one's far too high. Let me go to that one. It's this one here. Yeah, let's bring him down. Let's bring him down to there. Okay. I don't want it to enter on there. So the next thing is, it's got to be the camera, or it's got to be the spawn point. So one of these has to have a trigger, which is why I think we need to move the camera. We need to move the player to offset from the camera, because then we can check to see when the player enters the screen. So when the player enters the screen, then that's when we're going to spawn those items. So I think we need to do that now, which is a bit of a pain because I wasn't really wanting to do that today, but we are where we are. Okay. So that's those there, and That's the sound effects. So now, okay, let's see what that would be then. Player ship. So player ship is that there, our main camera has this camera script on it. So if I go to here, so this just needs to know the main camera. So all I need to do is expose that camera position. So I can say public vector3 cam position transform dot position. I mean I could probably get it from there anyway. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's camera move. Let's not bother doing that. Let's just grab camera move. So if I go to the ship movement and I have public cam move, the camera movement, this gives us the offset. I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll see how it happens. So then on there, so set X and set Y. Is going to be, why is it doing this? Is going to be, pain in the backside to do. Why is this doing this to me? Why? How am I getting insert mode? I don't understand. My keyboard doesn't actually have insert mode. So, huh? I don't understand why it's going into there. So this is going to be cam move dot transform dot position plus that, which is going to be this position here. Bold move content. Let's see how this pans out. Cam move dot transform dot position plus that. Okay, so this is almost like a constant that says just take whatever the position is and then just add it to the camera. I'm hoping this just works, and it means that we don't need to have this camera up here. But the thing is, I don't want the X and Y value. So let's go to cam here and then let's do public vector3 position XY, new vector3 transform dot position dot X, transform dot position dot Y, and then Z is going to be 0. And then this tooltip here, position without the Z coordinate. So I don't want the Z coordinate. I just want the, what? What do you like? Oh, okay. Fair enough. I guess, yeah. It's not a tooltip. It's not a property, so it's not a tooltip. So down here, instead of that, is going to be cam move dot position XY, and this is going to be position XY. Okay. So nothing should change. That's what I'm hoping. Well, other than the fact I've got a compile error. Which probably shouldn't have semicolons at the end there. Okay, what else have I got wrong here? Compiling. Okay. So nothing should change. Oh yeah, that's what should change. Never set that up. So if I go to player ship and then I drag in the main camera, boom, that now gives us that offset, and I should probably do that when I am in edit mode. Okay. Well, oh, it's something. It's like it's zooming in and out of a shot. And now the problem is the transform, the Y position is now, well, the X and the Y position is now all ski-whiff because it is the wrong offset. Oh, and this is transform.position equals that. Do horizontal, do vertical. That's in the update. So if I did, oh, this is a major rewrite, this one. Okay, let's bring this back to the start here. Okay. And now instead of transform position, I'm going to rename that to use a member field. So everywhere you see transform.position, I am going to, why can't I select everything? Edit, select all instances. I wish you could just find and, well, I mean, I guess I could use find and replace, but still. No, more fingers and thumbs, why? Find in files, and I just want to do it in this current document. And I want to replace it with transform. I don't have a transform yet, but I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to do replace all, 13 occurrences, okay. So I have this transform, so I'm going to say, where are we? Private vector3 transform equal, I don't need to set that there. And then I can say transform equals transform.position. Okay. So in the late update, actually I can do it in update or late update. Do horizontal, do vertical. And then after the do horizontal, do vertical, I can say transform.position equals cam move plus transform. Oh, cam move dot position xy. So everything's happening in that ship space. So it's happening in local space. So all of these movements, the vertical, the horizontal, are all happening inside local space. But the offset from the screen is going to happen offset from the camera plus whatever the actual transform is. If that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense, and hopefully Unity is going to understand what I'm talking about. Well, we don't have anything here. No, we still have the same problem. Well, that's not right. I think the problem actually is going to be that cam move position X, Y. Oof. Where did the little guy go? Oh, there he is there. So player is that. So if I move the where's the player camera? Player camera. Okay. So if I move that to negative 1.5 and I move that to 0, so it's now on the same playing field as this, or it's the same field as this. And I run it, still get nothing. Ooh, really didn't like that. Uh-oh. Who's the player ship? So player ship is at negative 1.3. So if I do that to negative 1.2, no, 5, so it's going to be 1.8, and then y of 0. Okay, so that puts the ship there. So the player cam is effectively useless just now. In fact, it doesn't even have a script on it yet. So why is... I'm so confused right now. What's going on here? Transform to position equals, and then it's just going to be transform dot position. Okay, so that's the start position of the ship. I'm not doing anything. It shouldn't move, but it has moved. And it's always moving up to there. Do I have an offset on this? Is that what that is? Horizontal multiplier, top extreme, bottom extreme, cam move, okay. Do vertical, set Y. What does set Y do? Set Y does transform.x, transform Y. Let me get out of the weeds in this one. Okay, I think I have it. So I think I need to do is do player ship and then make it a child of the camera. And then in here, I just need to do transform.position equals whatever the transform is. But this is going to be local position. It's going to be that. Because it's going to be local to the main camera. And I think that's it. Because this is at negative whatever the heck it is just now. Although that's at 10. So really that should be... I mean, that probably shouldn't be 10. Oh, where's the world? Where's the world? Uh-oh. Oh, man. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Yeah, see, there's... Oh, okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Because it's negative 10, so I think the camera is at 0. Oh, the camera's at negative 10 as well. What? Okay. I guess it doesn't really matter. But anyway. Okay. So if I play this, No. I think it's because it's -10. Me. Oh, that's a 10? Wait, what? Let me just do that at 0. I should be able to see the camera there, right? Oh no, wait. I think player camera can only see camera. No, tag main, layer default, player ship, untag default, main camera, layer default. Okay. I think I've got a layering problem here. Let me see where the ship is. Let me bring this down to here. So I want to see where the player ship is. So the ship's in the right place. It's just not seeing it. So if I go to player ship again. Oh, it's way over here. What? Why is the ship over there? I'm so confused right now. Why is that there? So it's down there, which also seems wrong. Hmm. Transformed up position. Oh, that's why, because I'm doing this. Okay, transform local position is that. Okay. Alright, here we go. Let's go for this. No, there's the ship there. So, yeah, it's doing the right thing. It's just way, 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 way in the distance. So, the current camera is at -10, okay, and then the player ship is at 0. I don't want the ship at 0, I want it to be 10. So, this is going to have to be, instead of 0? No, this is going to have to be 10 or 8. Yeah, there's 10 there, okay. So it's going to be offset from the camera, and then that gives us... No, it's still way back here. What the hell is going on here? Why? Why? Equals transformed up position, transform equals that. Oh, okay. Transform equals local position. Okay, these are just silly mistakes now. Alright. What? Oh, because it's above the extremes? So what are the extremes now? Ugh. I feel these mistakes are just mounting up into being silly. Okay. Okay, so the extreme for this one, the top extreme was 1.25. What is the top extreme for this one? 0.25. Okay, so that's going to be 0.25. And then the bottom extreme is probably going to be negative 0.25. Negative 0.25. which is right. So bottom extreme is negative 0.25. Okay. And then the rightmost is 4.35. Leftmost x is going to be negative 4.3, and then the rightmost is going to be 4.3, I think. Okay. Okay. So far, so good. Let's see what the transition looks like. Okay. Ooh, that's not good. So it gets there eventually, but it's doing something with the transform. Yeah, see, it's doing something with the transform, and it does eventually sort itself out. Actually, it's probably 4.35. 4.35, and we'll make that 4.3. Negative 4.35. Okay, so I think this is right. We're getting here. We're getting there, I should say. But at some point, this is grabbing some transform and not setting the right value. So what's set x doing it? Transform.y, transform.x. See, those look okay. Because the transform is the local position. So it starts off as a local position, and we set it to, the local position gets set after that. So transform plus offset, so this x most one here. That's right. So we're doing that. Transform equals lerp. Okay. So transform equals so we want to set the x to that. So the target, where's target coming in from? Target is set x dirmost. Oof. So I think that's okay. And then it's just checking that one to there. Alright, okay. It's also sitting down the bottom there, and I don't want it to sit in the bottom there. Okay, I'm going to sort that out off camera, I think. But in reality, what we want to do is we want to do it where we enter, where that particular thing enters there. So the player ship, it needs a collider on it. Box collider 2D, and it also needs a rigid body 2D on there. And I think I can change that to kinematic. There we go. So we control everything. It doesn't, it doesn't get affected by gravity or anything. You see, it's just moving there. And the reason why we want that is because we want to detect when the spawn point gets entered by the player, which means that we need to mark this as being the player. So when the player enters a spawn point, then it gets spawned. So we can do that on the actual spawner itself, although we don't know how many it's going to be. So we need to figure that out from actually, you know what? Let's do that as public event event handler ship entered. Okay. Okay. So when the ship enters it, oh, this is going to be, we need to change that to system random. No, that was a bad choice. Let's choose again. Oh, for the love of Pete. Let's do unity.random. Okay. So when it enters there, we want to then say, okay, this is the player's entered it. You need to do something about it. So I'm going to do override. Actually, it's public void on trigger on collision enter 2D. If collision dot tag game object dot tag there, and then this is going to be ship entered, so dot invoke this event args dot empty. So what does this do? This says, okay, I have this event called ship entered. If it's not null, that's what that question mark is. If it's not null, then call the invoke. And this is the same as doing if ship entered is not equal to null, ship entered this event args dot empty. So all of this line here, boom, it replaces this line, these lines here. So it's a nice little handy shortcut, that question mark. Okay, so now that we have that, we can now go to our game controller and we can say, okay, if we're not spawning that, then what we want to do is we want to capture that other spawn being done. So let's have a public int, let's call this spawn count equals 1. And then we want to say else spawner dot ship entered plus equals, and then we're going to do spawner ship entered. Now we don't have this function yet, but I'm going to create it down here. So I'm going to have void spawner ship entered object sender event args args e, and I'm going to add system to there, and that's going to do that there. So then I'm going to do var spawner equals sender, sender as spawner if spawner is not equal to null, now the reason why I'm doing it this way and not doing like the invoke is because I want to actually do multiple things, and things being actions. I don't know why I said things, I meant actions. So the first thing I want to do, the first action I want to do is I want to say spawner spawn, and then the number of items, which is going to be spawn count. And then what I want to do is I want to turn off the trigger. I only want to trigger it once. And the best way to do that is I can say spawner dot ship entered minus equals spawner ship entered. So this will only ever fire once. So this function only ever fires once. And there's a couple of patterns you can do in there. There's like a fire once signal. There's all these things in here, but this is the sort of easiest way to do it. So when the ship enters here, it checks to see if it needs to spawn it, and if it does, then it calls the spawn count. However, we also have another kind of wrinkle in here, in that we need to check to see if the spawner has a delay on it. So we want to say if, actually let's do, let's not do that. Let's take that away. So we want to remove the ship entered event, but then we want to say start coroutine spawn spawn items, and we want to pass in the spawner dot delay. And we want to have enumerator spawn items, and we want to say quote delay if delay is greater than 0, yield return new wait for seconds delay. Oh, we need to pass in the spawner as well, so we might as well pass in spawner. So let's do spawner dot delay, spawn delay, and then we want to say spawner dot spawn count, whatever that is, and we'll fix that up. And in collections, so now what we have is we now have a completely extensible system, or not a completely extensible, it's, you know, you can bend it to your will a little bit more. So we're going to spawn items, but only if if there's a delay, then we want to add this delay, and then we want to spawn those items there. So all of this is get handled just by this one handy dandy function here in this coroutine down here. So we want to enter the ship, or we want to check to see if the ship has been entered, or the ship enters the spawn area, and if it has entered it in there, we want to spawn the items after a certain amount of time. So if we go back to our first level here, so we have our screen spawner, so this is going to be screen 1 spawner. Okay, and screen 1 spawner, we are going to make sure it's a trigger, so that we don't we don't actually collide against it. We're going to make sure this is player, and what else do we need to do? Oh yeah, we need to also check to see if the spawner has a spawn delay on it. So we want to have a spawn delay of 3 seconds. So we don't want it to spawn straight away. And then this one down here has got a spawn delay of, I'll give that 0, but it's not gonna get tied. It's not gonna get wired up because we don't have a spawn on enter flag set there. So now when we run this, go back to 1. No, still nothing there. Collision enter 2D. I keep forgetting how to do this, or I keep messing up how we do it. Is it on here, or is it on? Maybe it's on here. Let's see if it hits anyway. Okay, so collision enter 2D, and there. Well, nothing yet. No. What is the world position of this? Debug. Uh, Let me do the scene again. Why not really? Oh, okay. Well, that's just weird. Why? How is that working? What? I mean, it's working, but still. How? Oh, I'm so confused right now. Where's the main camera? Oh, that's just messed up. That is all kinds of wrong there. So I don't know if you can see what's happening, but the main camera, which is this frustum here, which is moving through 3D space, that should contain the ship, but the ship is trailing it. And I think what's happening is, like, it's negative 1 point whatever it is there, negative 2, and then oh, that's the camera there, and then this one here is negative 4. So yeah, this is way wrong. This should be like negative 3 compared to that. So if you go back to the ship here, this is negative 4. Why is this negative? Okay, this is not good. Okay, I think that's part of the reason. Like, this should be. Oh, wait. This should be 0.3 for the main camera, and that should be 0. That's why. Okay, I think that was my fault. I mean, it's definitely my fault. I mean, I'm the only one here, so. Okay, so. Okay, it's a little bit herky-jerky, but I think that should fix that. And if you go back the other way, yeah, it should fix it the other way. Okay, so when we go back to the scene now, if I go and grab that scene there, and then choose 3D, no, see, it's not. That's the main camera, and the main camera is doing the right thing, and that is way behind. But I think at the start, so at the start, no, see, it's doing the wrong thing there. Yeah, at the start it should be offset from here. It shouldn't need to fix itself. And so at that point it's out. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get ship move working, or ship move ship shape. Okay, so do horizontal. I want to check the leftmost and the rightmost. Right, so equals left extreme, which is that one there. Set X is going to be that. Transform is going to be that. If left, bounce hit right extreme. If left, bounce hit that one there. Downmost is rightmost X. Okay, so the rightmost X for the rightmost X is going to be the transform dot y transform X. Okay. Downmost. So when I change those values, I should not have changed those values. I should have kept them the way they were. So I should have had them. So it's -3, so it's 0.3 on the X. Where are we? So main camera is here. Let me do that as 2D. Okay, so main camera is that. So I need to do that as negative. So playership is, so the playership is going to be negative 0.3. And then the Xmost is going to be negative 0.3. And then the rightmost is going to be 0.3. So if I just left that as that, that would have been fine. So now, okay, there you go. All right, so we got a bit of problem with the left and right. It kind of goes behind that screen there. I think we can solve that. In fact, I think we can solve it just by doing, just by bringing the Z order up on the player. So if we go to player here, sorting layer, so order in layer, and we can make that, I think screens, what are screens? Screens are order in layer 0, so let's make that -50. So now the screens are 50 below, so they get drawn behind everybody else. So this should draw in front. Oh, no, there's still something weird there. Let me move. Let me move the player up in the layer order. Sorting order. There's still something weird when I think it's when it does the camera transition. Yeah, it's definitely does the camera transition. Let's see what that looks like in the scene. So again, let's go 3D so we can see it a little bit better. We'll grab the main camera, and then when we get to 4, yeah, it's like when it gets to here. See, just at that point there, it just cuts out like there, because see, this is why I did the camera the way I did the actual camera. I had the player camera, but I knew I was going to have a problem with collisions, which is why I wanted to change it. So now we've got a problem the other way, which is when you do the transition, it's basically this. I don't know if you can see this here, but basically this part here, if we zoom in, if I go to 2D, you'll see that it's crossing the bounds here. So this camera here is basically blind, and you end up with this kind of glitch here. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how to fix that just yet. I think we should get collision detection working, and we'll figure the camera later on. But I think we need to have the ship in the same position moving forward, because it's just not gonna work otherwise, collision wise. Yeah, see, it just booms out of existence just at this point here, just as it gets to the you guys can't probably see that there. But yeah, just as it gets to the ship, gets to here, you see it starts to disappear on the top there. And it's because the main camera, wait, it's because if I turn off the left camera, no, right camera, there we go. So if I turn off the right camera, the thing is if I, I wonder if what I can do is I can have two cameras. So I have, I don't like this situation, but it's where we are. So what if we had two cameras? We had a main camera, and then on top of the main camera, just along for the ride, we had another camera that just showed the player, but it had a different layer. So instead of displaying it behind it, it displayed it in front of it. I wonder if I can do that. I mean, I can. Well, let's check it out. Okay, so let's have another main camera. So let's create a 3D object camera. Okay, let's create another camera, and I'm going to go to main camera, and I'm going to choose copy component, and I'm going to choose the other camera, and I'm going to choose paste component values, and that will copy the exact same camera, and I'm going to move it to be an exact same place as the existing camera. So I'm going to do 0, 0, 0. But the difference is I'm only going to show what I'm only going to show. I'm only going to show the player. So I'm going to choose. I need. I need a culling mask. Add layer. Oh no. Yeah, okay. Add layer, and I'm just going to call this player ship. Okay. And then I'm going to go and grab the player ship, and I'm going to add this to the player ship layer. And then I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to choose nothing, and then I'm going to choose player ship. Okay. And I'm going to choose the depth to be 50 because I want it to be in front of everything else. I want every other camera to render after it. And then I want the main camera to not have player ship. So I don't want the main camera to show player ship. So now when you click on main camera, the camera preview doesn't show the main ship. When I click on camera here, it does show the main ship. And then I want to take the left camera and the right camera, and I want to change those ones as well to not show the player ship. Okay. All right. Whew. Everybody following this? All right. And now I can just get rid of player camera because we don't need it at all. Boom. There you go. Gone. Okay. Because it's basically been replaced by this extra camera here. So we're going to call this player ship cam. Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Let's see if this works. Okay. Well, we've got a player. We've got our player here, and then we move from here. So we're getting to the border of 4. So when we go from 4 to 1, we should still see the ship in front of it, and we do. Nice. And then the same one across the way. Perfect. Okay. Well, that you know what? That didn't take any length of time, did it? It's just a little bit of kind of craziness with the cameras. I know Roy pointed out that you could actually do a lot of this in shaders. Yes, you can. I'm not great with shaders, um, and also I'm not I'm not sure how I don't know how to do it with just one screen, like just have a fixed screen and then move the UV coordinates. I mean, I understand the mechanics of it, and I actually have a video where I move UV coordinates as well on a shape, but um, maybe that's something for another video. I'm quite happy with the way that this is going, and I'm quite happy that that particular problem, the camera thing, worked. So that's good. So it means we don't need to change anything in world space. Everything just works, which is good. So there we go. So the player is now in the world, and they can collide with other things, but they're not quite colliding with things just yet. So let me change the code here. So instead of spawner, instead of the spawner doing that, I'm going to change that to on collision enter 2D for the for each one of these. So I'm going to do lander spawner, and then I'm going to oh no, that's right, I've got to add a tag here. So I'm going to do add a tag, and I'm going to call this spawner. So I'll call that spawner, and then I'll go to scientist spawner, lander spawner. These are the ones with a oh no, it's this one here. Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. It is fine, but I don't know. That's why. This doesn't have a script on it, so it's not going to know about it. I think. Yeah, so it's not going to know the collision on there, which is why it's not working. And you guys have already figured that out, so leave a comment in the notes below of when you realize I've made my mistake. So I don't want to tie the objects into each other. I'm not sure. Okay, when I say I'm not sure, what I mean is I'm trying to figure out the quickest way to do it rather than having an elongated video. And you know me, I ramble, so it's, you know, you're getting what you pay for when you watch these videos. Okay, so what do I want to do? Do I want to just have box colliders on those other two? I mean, I guess I could. I'm not particularly bothered about it, but it means that it's firing for every single one of these. Do I want to have that? What the hell? Box collider 2D. Okay, and then I'm going to make that 0.5, pardon me, which is the same height as the screen. And it's going to be a trigger. And this is going to be box collider 2D and 0.5, which is right. And then for this one here, the spawner, I can just get rid of this box collider because it's doing nothing for me whatsoever. So now we should have the situation where after 3 seconds the alien should appear, or is it maybe after you visit? So that's me enter the screen. So I do 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm not seeing them. Let me attach that there. What did I mark them as being triggers? Trigger. Oh, that's not a trigger. That needs to be a trigger as well. Whoopsie. Okay. So play. Oh, that's not hitting. Hmm. Lander spawner. So lander spawner. So if I get rid of the screens and I go to lander spawner, you see that that's in there. Okay, and then player ship is there. Lander spawner is there. So I'm wondering if it's because it's in the wrong place, which is what I suspect it is. So if I go to ship move and I do, oh, it's a trigger, that's why. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, I definitely need to do it in this one then. I need to say public void void on trigger enter 2D if collision dot tag equals spawner. So if the collision tag equals spawner, then I want to say var spawner equals collision dot get component spawner dot ship and fire ship touch. Let's call it ship touch. So ship touch is going to replace this here. So I'm going to say ship touch, and I don't need that, and I don't need that, and I do need those two letters there. So that's going to be our public thing there. So when the player enters it, it checks to see if it's a spawner. If it is a spawner, it then fires this. It calls this function, and then this function then fires the event. Whew, bit of wiring up, but it's still relatively separated here. Okay, so it still didn't work there. Let's see if it fires the one the other way. So that's me entered it. So still nothing. Let me set a breakpoint here. Okay. Wait, the tag's not spawner. Yeah, there you go. Every single time. And we'll call that spawner. I've got to play again. Spawner, there we go. So now it'll wait 3 seconds and then spawn them. There we go. So we get one. Oh yeah, because we only get one. Because the reason why we only get one is because inside our game controller, we should actually have spawn count. Okay. So there we go. So there's our one there. So what we'll do is we'll do like a particle effect. We'll go like that, and then that will appear there. So we need to have like a spawn item thing here. So let's go to spawner, and then we'll have this as a. We're going to have spawn on enter, spawn, remove there, and then we'll have a protected void spawn object, 3 pause, and then whatever you want to do, we can override in the base. So for the position for the scientists, we just want them to appear when the game starts. Boom, we're done. For landers, what we want to do is we want them to do that kind of zoom, like bring it in together, like place all the values together. So okay, let me think about how we're going to do that. We'll probably use an animation for that, or a tween to do that, or just create. What I might do is just create a frame in Photoshop and then just do it that way, which I think I will do. That's the cheat way to do it, but it's good enough. So for this one here, we want to say we want to spawn in that object there. So that's going to be game object, object, and then pause. Okay, so that's going to be, take this one out here, pass that in there, say object, blah, 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 and then it's going to be pause. And then this one here is going to be spawn object. Take that out there, put that in there, that there. Okay, and then there you go, and then that guy there. All right, so you need to get him to appear in. So I'm going to go into Photoshop. I'm going to do that right now, and I'm going to come back, and we'll have an animation in there. All right, so now we have our teleport. So I'm going to drag that in. So we have our teleport here. I'm going to make that 1024, and I'm going to make it point, apply. Sprite editor, so now we have our teleport here, so I'm going to say it's a multiple, and I haven't selected multiple. So it's a multiple, apply, sprite editor, slice, grid by cell count, and we have 4 columns, click on slice, boom, 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 nice, apply. So now what we can do is we can go grab these, select all of them, drag them out to there, and then this creates our animation. So we're going to go to animations, and then this is going to be our lander teleport. So that's our lander teleport. And if we go to our animation, and then we click play, it should play, which is kind of what we wanted to do. And roughly about that speed as well. I don't want it to loop. So I think, where are we? Animator. And then I need another one that goes to there. That doesn't tell me, but create another clip. And then this is going to be our static lander anim. And then I can add a property, sprite render, no. Another teleport, go here. Sprite. I think I can just drag this in, can't I? Go to art, and I can drag that into here, like that. So lander teleport, and then static lander. So I want to drag between these. Oops. Make transition to here, and it doesn't have an exit time. No, it doesn't have an exit time. It's okay. Fix duration, Okay, so if we go back into the scene, click on play. Okay, so it's going to play that. It's going to play that. Okay, so hopefully, under spawner. If I drag this, where are we? If I drag this over to here, game. Okay. So that's kind of what we wanted to do over here. So when we're doing, it's going to like that, and then it's going to do that. Okay. I guess we could probably do some more animation to it, but I think it's serves its purpose. So we need to create another script here. So the script here is going to be a copy of spawner. So we're going to have create C# script, lander spawner, and lander spawner is not going to extend mono behavior, it's going to extend spawner. And it's for the most part going to have everything there, but it's also going to have protected override, void spawn, why, spawn object, game object, obj, vector3 pause. Okay, why is it not liking that? Oh, what? Oh, that's why. Okay. So now we need to have our animation. So we also need to have a trigger so we know when it's finished, so we can actually spawn the completed one. Although, do we need the completed one? I mean, maybe we don't. I'm going to drag that into there anyway. So this is going to be lander teleport. So our lander teleport. I mean, I guess we could just have this as our lander rather than having it as our, like, if we go to these values and these are lander spawners, so instead of having landers, we could just have it as our lander teleport. The difference is we want it to be disabled because we don't want them to be enabled when you first start. So if I do this here, so I disable them. So they're currently disabled. I don't know if you can see that, but the difference is minimal, and it's kind of difficult to pick up on the screen sometimes, but that's kind of slightly grayed out compared to the other ones here. So if I do delete, so that gives us 5 of these, and then I go to the lander spawner, and instead of having lander in there, I delete that, lock it down, select this here, select this here, and drag these into the objects. This should play the animation and then set the last frame to be the actual frame. And we probably don't need our lander at that point because we just move them around. Although it is a bit much having all those animations there, but it's okay. So those are 0, 0, 0. Kind of probably want to move these over a bit down to here probably. Okay, and then we want to set them to be active. So we want to say obj.transform.world position position equals pause obj.set active true. So that's really the only thing we want to do in there. That should be position. Then we can get rid of these. So we're going to have to remove that lander spawner component. So we're going to have to rebuild all these, darn it. So we're going to get rid of actually, maybe I can cheat here. Okay, let's see if I can do this. If I add a lander spawner, maybe what I can do is I can do copy component, and then I can do paste component. I can't do paste component values. Damn it. It's worth a try. Okay, well, that sucks. Right, so we're just gonna have to copy the spawner thing here. So this is spawn on enter is there, and the delay is 3 seconds. And then we're gonna lock down these values here. So we're gonna do remove component. We're gonna lock it down. We're gonna choose these game objects here. No, it was already locked down. Oh, luckily I was dealing with a lander spawner anyway, so it's not too bad. So I want to drag and drop these into the spawn points, and then I want to drag and drop these into the objects that we're going to spawn. So hopefully now when we spawn these objects, it will then do that animation. Or not spawn anything. I mean, at the very least, I would have thought it would have spawned. Yeah, see, it's not. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. So that's because if I go to the game controller here, you'll see that it's got no other spawner there. So I'm going to go and drag that into that one there. Okay, that's why, because we deleted that script. So now it should do the after 3 seconds. There we go. That worked nice. Okay, let's see that again. So 3 seconds. Nice. Okay, so it just looks. It doesn't look like they're coming into the screen straight away. It looks like they're doing a little fade in. So that's nice. Sweet. Okay. Right. I think we end it there. That's long enough, I think. We've done quite a bit. So just to recap, we have moved the player. So the player no longer. Oh, that looks really nice, actually. So the player no longer is on his own. Well, he's kind of in his own camera, but we'll get back to that in just a second. So the player is now contributing to the world. He travels through the world the same way as every other object does. So basically, these 3 objects here, the lander, the scientist, and the ship, are all physically in the same location, because before the ship was way up here and it didn't kind of work for us. The second thing was the ship camera, the player camera, which was away up there. We deleted it, but we created another camera. And the reason why we created that camera was because we need to have the ship appear on in front of everything. So we can't do that because when you got to the edge here, like when you went from 1 to 4, the camera basically cut off. And so you would get, and it's very difficult to do that. So you would end up with a cut off here because the first camera ended here, and then the second camera was there, and it was showing on top. And so by creating this other camera that only shows the ship, so it only ever shows the ship, it's in the world, but it's above everything else. And that's what's giving us that ability to have the ship above there, is that extra camera. And the other thing that we did, the thing that we actually started and kind of what the main thrust of this video was the object spawner. So now that we have the object spawner, we can actually set this up for each screen. So I can go and duplicate this, and instead of the spawner being at this position here, we can move it to here, which is going to be negative 0.5, which is the spawner for 2, and then we're going to do that at 0, I think it will be. No, it will be 0.5, and then the next one will be at 1.5. So now when we enter each one of these screens, so we'll see we get 3, so there's one there. We enter this next screen. Oh, that's right, we need to wire them up, don't we? Okay, so we've done screen 1 there. Let's rename these things. Screen 2 spawner, screen 3 spawner, screen 4 spawner. And what we could actually do is we could register with the game controller, which might be a better idea. But for now, I'm just going to drag these into the main camera. So if I go to, sorry, the main controller. So if I go to here, I'm going to lock this down here, and I'm going to grab the scientist spawner and the lander spawner for screen 2. And I'm going to do the same thing for screen 3. Gonna grab that, drag that in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for screen 4. I'm going to grab that one there, grab that one there, and drag them into there. So now, let's make that spawn count 3. So we'll see 3 things coming into world. So we'll have this here. So they all appear, and then we go into the next screen. So you can see we've already populated it with these little guys here, and then they appear here. And then when we enter this one here, we've got that there, and then there's nothing in the 4th one just yet, but as soon as we do that, they'll enter here. And yeah, so that's it. We've got the spawn points working. Now it's just a matter of tweaking it. So we'll get the landscape done probably in the next video, and then we'll get some firing in there, and we also need to get these landers to move around and start, taking out the little scientist dudes. And so that will be the next step in this iteration. Oh, and we also need to do the registration as well, because otherwise you've got all this. You basically got to drag and drop stuff out there. But we may not get to it because this works okay. This list over here. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. Oh, there you go. A bit of a roller coaster ride, that one. Got there. So we now have the Defender ship in the world. We have spawn points. We have aliens animated coming in. So the game's starting to take shape just now. So I think the next step is to handle shooting and how we destroy the aliens, and then the next one after that will be the AI of the little lander creatures. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, notification bell, and drop me a like. Really does help the channel, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye bye.